You know, so many people are talking about co-living today, which is just a fanciful term for room rental. Now here we are at the Visionaire, and my wife Kelly bought a 3-bedroom unit here. She invested about $400,000, and initially we are planning to rent out the whole unit as it is for investment. And I don't quite like the idea of co-living as an investor because they comes with higher maintenance costs, more tenants to deal with, more problems, and also renovation itself. But you know, when I saw the ROI, it seems that co-living can give me better returns. So should I choose between the whole unit or co-living? Well, there's only one way to find out. We used our own money and did the experiment. So let's go. Hey, come on in. Alright, so this is a 3-bedroom, and right now where we are is like a dining area here. I also provide the kitchen for the tenants to use, the washing machine and everything is there. And this portion, okay, used to be the living area and the balcony, but we partition it up because it's co-living. This room goes out for 1,325. Now come on in. And there's a common toilet, and then this room, $1,300. This is the master room, $1,900, and we have one more common room here. Come on. This is a bit smaller, so this is going for $950, and the ex-tenant has just left, so take a look. So what I provide my tenants? Study desk, chair, lamp, wardrobe, a bed, and of course, Wi-Fi is included, electricity like lights and aircon is also included. So the big question is, does this really make money? So let's go back and see the calculations and breakdown. Now let's get to the numbers. So my total rent for this unit is actually here, 5474. Now I also want to recap with you guys, like, what are the 3 sources of profits that when I get as a property investor. So the first one here is actually the capital appreciation, the rental cash flow, and the principal accumulated. I'm going to go through one by one. Now, I want you guys to understand the formula first, right, on how we calculate the rental cash flow. So how it works is rent minus principal minus interest, which we put together is actually your monthly mortgage or installment, right? Then you minus your MCST maintenance fees and property tax to the government. Now, because we're also doing a co-living, right, we're going to minus services, which is like the Wi-Fi that I'm paying for, the cleaning services, and the utilities like electricity, water. Now, once I minus everything, right, the amount of money that I get to keep is called cash flow. Now, I also want to calculate the principal accumulated. How can I do that? This one requires a bit of math. Now, if you bring this principal over to this side of the equation, what you're going to happen is you take rent minus interest, simply MCSC property tax services, you'll get cash flow plus principal. Then you would have also calculated the principal accumulated. So now let's take a look. Over the next 4 years, what's going to happen? Over the next 4 years, my combined interest will be $96,000. My combined maintenance fee, $16,000. Combined property tax, $14,000, and services, $24,000. If you want to see the individual per month, it's over here, times 48 months. As an investor, I also want to be conservative, right? So when I look at what's the rent that I'm going to get over the next 4 years, I'm going to use 44 months instead of 48. Why? I'm assuming that in every year, 1 month, the entire unit is vacant, right? Because maybe this room tenant leaves, then the other one leaves, then there's a transition period, that kind of thing. Sometimes it's only 1 room empty, but let's just be conservative. The whole unit is empty. Out of 1 year, only 11 months is fully rented out, right? So that's 44 months in total. Total rent I'm going to collect is $240,000. So once I plug in the numbers, right, I come up to this one. I'm going to get a cash flow of principal of $90,456. Now, having said that, that is my profits. Have I included all the costs? There will be things like, for example, your agent fee when you sell. There'll be like things like your repairs, your breakdowns, the fact that you've partitioned the living room. Altogether, right, I'm going to give you a ballpark figure of $45,000 because the agent fee itself, when you sell, even at the same price, right, it's already about $30,000 for a 2% agent fee. Once you minus all, right, you're left with a net profit of $45,000. Luckily for me, I also have the real estate license. I can save a little bit on agent fees, but let's just say I'm a normal human being, it'll be $45,000 net profit. The next thing we want to do now is to understand the cost of investment. Is this ROI really going to make sense for me? And to do that, right, we want to understand that the cost of investment, first of all, that is my purchase price, and I take a 25% down payment, which is $355,000. There's a stamp duty for about $42,000 and a legal fee of $2,500. My total cost of investment coming into this, right, is actually close to $400,000. Now, let's calculate the ROI. Is this worth it? How do we calculate ROI? Basically, it's very simple. You take profit divided by the cost of investment, which is about 400 over 1,000. Then just now that 45,000 comes out around here. In total, it comes up to about 11% over 4 years, years or 2.8% per year. What do you think of this number? Now, frankly speaking, right, if you have to do all these kind of things so much, right, just to get 2.8%, right, when you can easily like put CPF already give you 2.5%, you buy some bond 3-4%, you do stocks investment, you get way more than this, and you got to put in 400,000 to do this. I'm going to share with you my conclusions later on, right? But there's one component that we have not calculated yet out of our 3 sources of profits, and that is the capital appreciation. So let's take a look. If we just assume there's a capital appreciation of about 2% a year, it's going to give us $113,000. Then how does the ROI improve? It becomes 10% per year. Way better than what we saw, 2.8%. I'm going to share with you my conclusions and what I see as an investor right now. The first conclusion is that if you are buying a property just to rent, you just want to do co-living or just do normal rental, it's such a small money and such a low ROI that actually what you need to really look out for in every property investment is the big money, and that actually comes from capital appreciation. Regardless whether you go for a new launch or you go for a resale, find a place that gives you the highest potential for capital appreciation. The second point I'm going to make, right, is that is this whole co-living really worth it? Well, if I had done a full house rental, I would have actually gotten negative cash flow. And because of the negative cash flows, yes, I do save on the services, but I've calculated the ROI actually drops to about 2%, take it about closer to 2, and that means that actually co-living does give you a bit more percentage, but you have to weigh against whether it's worth your time to do that. Next thing is that we have cost here. Right? These are the expenses. Of course, you want to get a unit that has got lesser repairs, lesser breakdowns, so that you can reduce this figure. And like I said, I have the real estate license. I can reduce figure because I don't have to pay agent fees when I find a tenant. But still, I want to be very fair to say that even though I don't pay agent fees for getting a tenant, it's actually taking my time away from other things that I can do, right? So it's still a cost on me that I put my time to manage this property, and I cannot be out there doing other things and making like other forms of investments and making money for myself, right? So there is a cost to it. And so last but not least, right, my final thought on this is that because of this purchasing cost, selling cost, actually if you really want to do co-living and you want to manage many rooms, it's way better to do the rent-to-rent model where you rent from a landlord and then you sublet it out to other people. This way, you can manage more rooms, and this way you can get better ROI for sure because you don't pay all these fees. And my final conclusion here, right, is that if you want to really buy a property to rent it out and you want to get the maximum, so you decided to do co-living like what I'm doing, I think one way is to actually take a longer horizon, because when you take a longer horizon, am I right to say that these fees are more or less a fixed cost? But when you take a longer horizon, your principal plus cash flow starts to exponentially grow. Then when it goes to a high point, like let's say in 10 years time, this figure can grow up to close to $300,000, especially if the interest rate were to come down. And then you minus away this roughly fixed cost, then you'll see more profits and you'll see a better ROI on the longer horizon. Now, if you enjoy property breakdown videos like this, you can check out how I break down other people's properties in a video like this one, or you can see my first 4 property breakdown videos over here.